You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with Cindy Rosa.
Hey.
So Cindy, tell me a little bit about yourself and what do you do professionally?
So I am a cardiac sonographer. I do cardiac ultrasounds of people's hearts. Yes.
Whoa. Okay, so you get to look inside of these people's hearts.
Correct.
So you literally get to see what their heart holds.
Well, in a sense, yes. And it should just be blood.
It's funny because I always talk about with people, their true intent, when it comes to what their heart, what they really hold inside their heart, to them, emotionally, or what they truly mean, and a lot about when it comes to the concept of love and all these things. And it's no, but you get to see the ventricles and all the cool blood system pumping stuff. I want a machine that's going to see something inside someone's heart to know their true intent on some things.
Well, then maybe that is like a CT or MRI because you can see it. And that is where your intents are.
So what types of things have you kind of learned? What even got you interested in this? Just kind of I guess, scanning people's hearts, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So originally I started school, I'm a biology major, and I went to Long Island University, and I wanted to become a doctor. But then I fell in love and had children. So I kind of took a hiatus from school for a while. I worked in a restaurant for many years, and then I was like, I need something more. There's no benefits or anything like that from the restaurant. So I ended up working at a nursing home and still at the restaurant. And I had 2 kids by this time. And I realized that a career-based job where you build was just not going to cut it financially for me and, for us to raise our children. So I needed to get a profession that would, make some significant money. So since becoming a doctor was just too hard for me at the time, I ended up going back to school, finishing my prerequisites so that I can get into a program of some type. And then ultrasound I met somebody that was doing it, and that's how I ended up going into ultrasound. And cardiac was because I originally wanted to be a cardiologist anyway. So it kind of put me still in the same room, at least, with the doctors.
Did you have a fascination with the cardio system since you were a kid? The cardiovascular, the heart, it's pretty magnificent when it comes down to the actual physical things about it. It's really, really weird when people say we relate a lot more to monkeys, but we actually scientifically relate more to pigs. Humans are more genetically close to pigs when it comes to getting a valve for our heart. We usually can choose a cow heart or a cow valve or a pig valve, these types of things. A lot of animal implants are because of that, is because we relate closely to pigs in these things. I don't know why the genetic makeup is so damn close.
Well, the reason that we relate closer to pigs is the size.
Ah.
Right? So the size of the heart and the size of the cow's heart before it becomes a ginormous monster, right? Our hearts are the same. And if you look at pretty much any mammal, our hearts are the same. So if you actually when you buy a whole chicken, and the little bag that comes on the inside, there's a heart in there. You take a very sharp knife and you can open it up and you can see everything that's the same as in your heart, unless that particular chicken has some type of congenital problems.
I'm guessing blood and gore does not really affect you at all.
No, but it did. It did at first. And it's something you kind of overcome. You don't. It doesn't. You don't keep it. But we're human. So sometimes, unless you're like a dark human, if you see something that is, if you see another human hurt, typically humans tend to be shocked by it. And then you go into the fight or flight. So the first time I saw something that was very gory, which was fingers disconnected from somebody's hand.
Mm.
Yeah, I was just like, Oh my God, what the fuck is this?
Messing with a lawnmower, it sounds like.
No, he was messing with a table saw.
Well, hard tools in general. I
Yes.
had a wood shop teacher that only had like 3 fingers on one hand. I was like, why do you still do it? He's like, I like it.
Like it.
I was like, but you can't eat soup correctly. You can't do
I know.
anything correctly. And it's crazy because like for me, like I'm never a giant fan of the doctors, but like I've been in an MRI machine, I've been on these things that are taking scans, and I know it involves a certain type of radiation to be done too. Um, but it's fascinating to know that they can look inside of your body and see these types of things. I mean, a lot of people don't understand when it comes to our human body how amazing it is. It's very, very resilient, especially when you're around 20 years old, my age, a little bit younger. It seems like you're invincible, mostly because I can get hit by a truck and then get up 5 minutes later. I've had near death experiences to where like the doctor's like, it's because you're young, you're resilient. I'm like, well, then what happens? Like, well, as you get older, your body progresses, and next thing you know, you're not able to heal as quickly. Like I noticed, like some days, like I cut my arm or something,
Mhm.
and next thing I know, it takes a while to heal, rather than where I was a kid and it used to heal pretty quickly. And I'm like, man. And they always like I've got blood tests done on me. I work out a lot, so my veins are not hard to miss. I don't
Mhm.
like shots. This
Mhm.
woman, I don't know if you can see, but on my arm, I have these pulsating veins, like you can see them because it's fitness freak. And she missed it 17 times. I said, woman, you got to hit it. You got to get inside of the vein right there. I'll do it myself. She's like, let me try your other arm. Let me try your other arm. I'm like, and this is the time I was fasting for a blood sample, so I'm like already angry because I have not eaten, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I chose to go like the earliest time possible so I can get some breakfast in me. You can't miss the McMuffin at McDonald's. That just has to happen. And she goes and starts hitting my left arm and missing it. And I'm just staring at her. She's like, we might have to wait and try this again. And then a nurse just came in and was like, oh, I got it. And then grabbed it. One shot. I'm like, where was he 20 minutes ago when I was sitting here thriving in pain?
Yeah.
But I'm
Well,
like,
like sometimes they roll and you can't get them. So it looks like they are like right there. And sometimes that can happen. Or the person could have been like really nervous. You know how sometimes you meet somebody and like immediately you have like a resistance towards them?
yeah, it's
I mean,
energy.
yeah, yeah. So you possibly, that energy could have not been good, and she or he was probably like really nervous. I've seen that happen a lot.
What are type of like some of the biggest problems you face doing your field?
Smell.
What, just like I mean, I remember dissecting a pig in biology and it was not the best thing in the world.
No, that's formaldehyde smell. If you ever did that, the cat smell worse.
So
The,
what exactly is formaldehyde?
it's a preservative.
So it's like, did they put that on corpses too, like of loved ones, like when they're at an open funeral or something?
Yes, start to decompose right away, and they can do what they have to do.
Yeah, because I thought the weirdest experiences I've ever had as a kid, I went to a funeral, and I looked down and I was like, why does he have makeup on him? Why does he have all these types of things on they beautify him up. I'm like, but he's dead. Well, I don't want to know that he's real. And I felt so weird. And I felt so like this is a bad insight on me. I felt so bad because I wouldn't get close to the coffin. Because I mean, I was only like 14 years old, but like I'm sitting there, I'm like, he looks like he's going to jump out and hug me. And my
I know.
dad saw that and was like, buddy, it's not going to happen. Just,
I know.
say your goodbyes, say what you got to say, man. This is the last moment you're going to really see him. And I'm looking at him, I'm just like, he's got blush on his face. I know my grandfather to never wear makeup in his entire life. I don't know why he's wearing blush. And my dad's like, I agree with you on that. And I get a little bit closer, kind of stepping into the water a little bit. My dad just goes up behind me and goes, oh, and I'm like, oh, oh, oh. And I just immediately, like, I ran out of there. But it was like, he was trying to show me, like, this is something you have to learn. People do die. But it's something like you shouldn't be afraid of it, but you should see it as a beginning, a moving on in a way. And that was a way of him doing that for me. And even though he did scare the living shit out of me, it was still something I still hold to this day. And it always fascinated me when they talked about sucking the organs out of the body. Because a lot of people, when they chalk up to weird jobs, like we all know Mike Rowe, the guy that does dirty jobs. Well,
Right.
the weirdest ones is the ones that you get stuck at a mortician, or you're dealing in a like just like with dead bodies all the time. And I always chalk it up to the example, they just can't function around everyday people. Dead people are sadly easier to talk to than normal people today.
Well, they kind of depict it as like the mortician is there by themselves. That might have to be at like a small funeral home or processing place, but I mean, I can imagine they're gonna have coworkers, just conversations happening. So, like,
I mean, any show that you watch, there's like a dude that comes in at night, like if it has to deal with a mortician. He's my age, freaking headphones in, just like rocking out and like moving dead bodies around. I'm like, he's normalized that so much. Like,
yeah,
I would be freaked out for the first 30 minutes in there. I'm thinking, like, I need to lock all these right now because it's going to turn into Walking Dead in 5 minutes. Like,
I,
if the zombie apocalypse happens, you don't want to be in a freaking cemetery. Like, that's the worst place ever.
yes, definitely. You just don't want to be stuck there. Yeah, but I doubt that it happens like that. And these people like, it's funny because like they fart.
They do, and nobody understands that they shit when they die. Nobody
Yeah.
gets that. Their body releases everything. Okay, so I follow this page on Instagram called Nature is Metal. It shows the savagery of nature, the true intent that a lot of people are not like. They think a bear is like Winnie the Pooh that they want to hug. No, 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 no. That bear will kill you in an instant. So I
Yeah.
followed this page and I watched a Clydesdale trying to mount another Clydesdale. Now let me finish what I'm saying. It's not as dirty as you think. The Clydesdale was rotating around, trying to kind of like reject him in a way, and the other one was trying to kind of hop on, and he kept like look. It was like jump rope, like you look when to jump in, and the fring kicked it right in the freaking head, and all you hear is the metal hoof go clink, like it just hit a nice metal pole or something, and the Clydesdale just went down, legs up, and just started evacuating its whole valve system. And I'm like, oh my God. And like all these guys are like, get up, like kicking the horse. The horse died right there. It got kicked in the head with a metal hoof, 100 and something miles an hour.
Oh my God.
And I saw that and I was like,
What?
whoa.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Because
yeah.
not a lot of people look at that. Like,
Oh,
have you ever heard of nicotine in vapes?
I mean, yeah. I don't use them, but I don't know much about.
The nicotine in vape, there's a salt nic. It's like pure 50 milligram nic content, and it goes higher than that. And people talk about like, there's psychological disorders when it comes to someone like my cousin has it. He smokes a cigarette to go to the bathroom. Like he won't go poop for a couple of days, and then next thing you know, he'll be like, "I need a cigarette." Cigarette, not even two puffs down, straight up the bathroom. He's like, "I need it religiously to poop. It's my rely on," and I'm like, that's in your brain psychologically. If you have an eating disorder, if you have a type of working out, you have a type of routine, you do it religiously. If it
Correct.
gets messed up, you feel like you're off throughout the day. And when I found out about the nicotine in salt nic, and I was like, why, when you smoke a high amount of salt nic really quick, it makes you kind of whoa, like back away, and it
Oh,
makes you like it's so much of an override on your senses. And I
mhm.
talked to some guy that owned a vape shop about it. I was like, why, when I smoke salt nic, do I immediately have to poop afterwards? And he's like, oh, it's your nervous system shutting down. I was like, what? He goes, you know what it's like when you die and people crap themselves? He goes, that's basically what it is when you get a nicotine high. It's your central nervous system shutting down, so your body's trying to look to push everything out. I'm like, wait a minute, so I'm dying? He goes, yeah, don't you get dizzy and everything like that too? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, but it's brief. It's not like you're actually going to die. It just means like your body thinks you are going to shut down. So it starts getting everything set up like, oh, I'm going to push all this out. I'm like, whoa.
He never needs to make a commercial.
Like he talked to me like Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I was like,
But why would he even talk like that? Like, was he trying to sell it to you or not? Like, what?
no, he talks about the benefits because he's like, I have trouble going to the bathroom myself. And you know what I do? I just hit a nice salt nick. Next thing you know, I'm in the bathroom. I'm like, wait, you use this to go to the bathroom? He's like, dude, the best craps I've ever had in my entire life. And I agree with them because they are pretty religious. I, I did it once, and let me tell you something. I was like, yeah, it hurt. Um, but I don't know. I think we do weird stuff. I'm sorry, I go off on tangents.
You good, you good. But you can also eat some more fiber instead of salt nick.
Now, I work out every single day and have done so 7 days a week. I have not missed a day, and I've been doing it for almost 7 years now. I have a
Okay.
little bit of a disorder when it comes to that. If I eat red meat or something I have not eaten in forever, I will not crap for 6 days. My
Hmm.
body will, I'll feel like crap forever until it happens. That's when I looked at one of those things. I mean, you look at laxatives, you look at everything just to be able to. I ate 2 boxes of Raisin Bran, and I ended up getting too much fiber, where to the point where I didn't go for even longer. And I'm like, sometimes that sun, that smile, that 2 scoops, it doesn't help. It does not.
All right. So I want to know, why did you start a podcast?
I found something interesting after being introvert for so long, and I think what really pushed me towards it was I was going through a bit of a depression, much like most kids around my age, 21, 20, start to kind of experience. They choose to dive into drinking. Me, that was not an option. No drugs, nothing were an option for me.
Okay.
uh, so I chose to kind of get a hook on fitness, and I ended up becoming so introvert and comfortable with my life that I realized that's all it was school, work, working out, school, work, working out. And I had a buddy call me that I graduated with in my class, and it's been 5 years since we graduated. And he was like, "I'm on my roof right now. I'm pretty drunk, and I just wanted to tell you I fucking love you." And I'm like, "What?" And he's been on my podcast, and we've talked about it. He's like, "You're a real person. I know we only talked at lunch, and it was only in our junior year, and it's
Right.
been basically 5 years since this, but I always knew I could count on you, and you'd be there if ever I needed you." I'm like, "Dude, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, man."
Look,
But I sat there and I talked to him for hours, and I realized someone that had his life set perfectly, going to Harvard, going to all these things, going on a baseball scholarship, had his life set. He seemed like he was going to be set at 30. He
right.
was like, my life was controlled. He suffered from severe depression. And I told you, we're all experiencing this world together. We're all feeling the same things, but no one wants to talk about them because we're afraid that it's going to offend somebody. We're afraid it's going to be weird to somebody. We're afraid we're going to be given pity. We're afraid of all these things. I'm like, we just need to connect again. And he's like, "Thank you." And like, I'm going to step down from this roof now. I was literally close to ending it. And I was like, "Okay, well, call me if you need me." And he came on my podcast later, and I realized I needed people to pull me out of hard spots. And this is what this podcast does. It gets conversations with normal day individuals, not people that are, someone sends me a list of things to, you know, that they do. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a this. I'm like, okay, that's cool, man. I like all your titles. I like all your certificates. I like all your diplomas. That's awesome. I'll put that in the podcast link for people to see that, who's coming on. But it's conversation. You might be a brain surgeon, you might be a heart surgeon, but we might end up talking about Bigfoot at one point. It's whatever you choose to lead. It's just conversation like you would have on the street. And it leads me into, I guess, the main question here is your little podcast thing you do, your page you run. Is it a podcast or a page?
It's both.
It's both. Okay. Now you focus on something that a lot of people in the world today would hear that and be like, my virgin ears. You know what I mean? It's a little bit sensitive. And I like that you don't care because you do sprout out real information. And I want you to kind of say it.
So it's CougarsnClitties, okay? And cougars because I don't know, I'm older and for some reason I attract younger men, and so it kind of put me in that cougar category, right? So the opposite of cougars would be kitties, but clitties is is better to play with, right? So that's how we got there.
That's a good one. I like that.
Okay. So and yeah, so I talk about dating and sex and a lot of things. It kind of goes up into different topics similar to your podcast. And
What types of things do you find interest you the most about all these things you kind of focus on?
all the new things that I'm finding out that people don't talk about. For instance, fetishes.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
Right.
You know, everyone has one. I don't know why we're so. See, it's the problem with we want to structure our life around this Jim that works a 9 to 5. Well, Jim's a fucking freak. Okay, Jim likes to be choked and also light a firework off in his ass. Okay, he has that weird thing, and everyone's like, not Jim. He's a father. No, I'm telling you, his wife or someone that's truly connected into his life knows his deep, dirty stuff. We all got something about us.
And that's the problem, that his wife probably doesn't know it.
You think that it's more times kept secret because it's afraid it's going to hurt the individual or it's going to be seen as weird and judged?
Yeah. Yes. And I think that as someone's spouse, those are the things that you should know. You should know these things. This way you can try to experiment with them and kind of, I mean, depending on what type of fetish it is, right? Some people have fetishes that are just not legal, and you need to have a conversation with a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
But there are other things that, people might want to experience that they shouldn't be ashamed to talk to their significant other about. They should feel like it's okay to talk to them about it. And I think that right there, not being able to talk about things that are very important, like sex is extremely important. You in a relationship, right? So you'll have someone go outside and look in other places for the things that they like. Like I just recently found out about this thing called backdoor. It's
What?
a backdoor.
Oh,
It's
like sneaking in the back door or?
No. Backdoor is like a website, it's like an underground website where people sell themselves and sell fantasies and all this other stuff. Like this is where this podcast has taken me.
Wait, they sell you, they sell like fantasy stories, like novelistic writings?
No, they sell themselves and fantasies. Like your fetishes, you can have them fulfilled. There's going to be someone on this website that is okay with fulfilling it. And, you can go on there and buy a service. It's backdoor.
I've
Or
only experienced that once, and I'm not saying I signed up for the service. I'm saying my teacher tried to tell me. I told my teacher, I said, there's a thing on Craigslist where some dude will come to your house for $50 and punch you straight in the nuts. And he
yeah,
goes, I don't believe you. If you show me right now, I'll believe you and I won't bother you. You can be on the rest of the computer the rest of class. I don't care. I said, okay. 2 seconds, bam, popped up. He looked at it. He goes, damn. Faith in humanity has just been taken away from me, and walked away. I was like, I told you, there are people out there. There's been movies about people, like it's a joking movie, like with Jason Bateman, where there's a dude that came to the dude's house. He goes, you ready? And he's like, they thought he was a hitman,
hmm
and he wasn't a hitman. He was just unbuckling his belt to pee on the guy. He's like, I just drank a 40-ounce Slurpee. There is weird stuff out there that people find interesting, and the only reason it's weird is because we make it weird. We choose
correct.
not to normalize it. And when someone who does normalize it goes around saying stuff like that, you get turned off about it. Sex, all that stuff is a big thing no
Yeah.
one wants to talk about. It's the little dirty monster that everyone wants to hide away and act like they don't do it. Oh, I don't do it unless I'm married. I'm like, no, you have connections with people on a day-to-day basis. You don't have to be married to that person. That doesn't mean you should be go around spreading your seed everywhere. That just means that you can't choose who you connect with. When passions happen, I think a lot, Joe Rogan talks about it a little bit best. I don't know if you listen to Joe Rogan at all, but
No.
he has a bit in his comedy special about you know guys should just jack off before they go and hang out with a girl, because half the time when they jack off before, they don't end up wanting to go hang out with that girl. They're like, nah, I'm good. And it makes sense because you get pent up. I talk about this to people that end up getting married and they don't have sex until marriage and they have all these things. I know firsthand experience, literally firsthand. Yeah, that's a little slight reference there, but it's true, because I know I'll be messaging someone to be like, hey, let's hang out, let's do this, let's do that, and get all my intentions lined up for what I plan on doing. She's in agreement too. And next thing I know, I'll be like, I'm just going to knock this out real quick. And afterwards, I'm like, wow, I really don't feel that way around that person anymore. And the most humbling thing for me, going to the gym every single day, and I burn off a lot of my testosterone, a lot of my hormones get leveled. I come to this, like, the best point to talk to someone, or at least a guy, is on two moments. One, they just got done doing the dirty, or they just got done working out, or like it's literally being extremely tired. It's like you understand what's the true intentions. You have a critical way of thinking, and I'll message them. I'm like, hey, I was just, I'm sorry. I have to try and think clear in those moments. And this is when I've decided in my life, even being at my young age, I tell someone like I'm looking for someone to connect with if I'm going to date anybody. And they
Right.
go, yeah, you're 21. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. I'm like, no, seriously. Like I realize the love is a thing. It lasts about 3 years. That feeling, that whole true on, I love you every single day. Care about you every single day. It does fade. That's a statistic fact. It's what ends most marriages, sadly, is you find out either who the person truly is, like, oh shit, you're a slob, like you didn't show me this side of you. Oh yeah, well that was before we were married. Does it change afterwards? And it's like the character goes off. And there's a show called Adam Ruins Everything that brings up the fact about marriage. It's where I'm getting my information from. And they use like statistical research studies to show that 3 years, that love feeling, it fades. But that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you have to stop caring about that person. That
Yeah.
feeling's meant to fade. My great grandfather said it best. I've been married to this woman for 75 years. Does the love feeling fade? Yeah, but every day I'm discovering something new and interesting about this person I'm connected with. Like they were that's why older relationships, older marriages, they last because they had a time where there wasn't so much things as technology and all these things you truly had to get to know somebody. Nowadays you're just seeing a Tinder profile and it's gone. You're like, oh, this is what that person is. Next, oh, you're a dude. It's like, yeah, that was just a character I was playing. I'm like, man, those types of relationships, you don't see them every day.
So those things right there, as far as the length of time that those relationships lasted, right? I think that there's a big difference, and a thing that people current day are not realizing, that yes, we have an overstimulation um with the internet, right? And but that can be two things. That can be good and bad. But also, these people also tried, the ones that are in good marriages, they tried. Like your grandfather said, that he continuously finds good things in her, good things to learn about her, or things that he's learning about her, period, whether they're good or bad, right? He made an effort. He made a conscious effort. So if right now our attention span is so short, and someone else is going to come and catch your eye, right? So
Yeah.
we immediately lose interest in the person that we originally started with, because it's easy to start to look at somebody else. We don't make that conscious effort to stay connected. Um,
It's
and
well, they think relationships are supposed to be 50-50. It's not supposed to be 50-50. It's supposed to be 100-100. If you expect the other person to do the other half of the work, you're not doing the full effect yourself. You both have to give 100% in everything you do. I've talked to people that are in marriages now for 50 something years, not even talking about my great grandparents, not even talking about my grandparents, but just people I've podcasted with. And I'm like, how do you have the key to marriage? Basically, you seem like you guys vibe pretty well. It's like, because we know each other. We know that like if I'm want this to happen, she knows she how she can help me out. But also at the same time, we're not forcing each other. We're not getting pissed off at each other. We do have arguments. We're people. We have arguments. You're not supposed to connect with people 100% of the time. Okay, you're not supposed to get along with everybody in the world. You're supposed to have those things. You're it's the same thing with your family. After a week of being in the house with your family every single day, every single hour, every single minute, you get pretty pissed off where you want to stab somebody with a butter knife. It's like you literally have to look at, are you comfortable spending the rest of your time with this person? Are you set in life with these people? Have you truly made a friend? Have you truly bonded with somebody? And a lot of kids my age think that, oh, I'm just incapable to love. I'm like, no, you just haven't found that person that's going to be your best friend. Is not
right,
going to be. And even me saying that, I'm still very immature in my ways of trying to understand it, just because I haven't experienced anything like that before. But the always crippling things for me was my relationships ended on my addiction to the gym. Like they'd be sitting on the couch eating Ben and Jerry's ice cream, and I'm headed out to the gym. They're like, why don't you just sit and eat this with me? I'm like, I physically can't. Only on two notions. One, I'm lactose sensitive, so everyone in this room would be suffering. And two, my brain, it's just there's something going on in it psychologically where I need to go to the gym. It's like checking my phone in the morning. There's not a I can't go or I'm not going today. It's I'm going. whether it's snowing out or not. I've been in a blizzard. I've drove my small car to the gym in a state of emergency. I've been in tornadoes, been in hurricanes. There's not that answer to it. And I haven't found anybody that could truly understand that. And I think that person is definitely out there, but sometimes you got to see it from other people's perspective, which a lot of people don't do.
She's probably at the gym.
Yeah, probably. But a lot of the girls at the gym, sadly, spend more time looking at their looks. Like, I'm worried about, like, I had one girl. Okay, this is funny. So a bit of like body dysmorphia type in a way, but whenever you're at the gym, you're looking at yourself most of the time in the gym, and there's mirrors all over the wall. So I had one girl, I was staring at like a lower part of the mirror where it was pointed back into me and looking at like my legs or something while I was bench pressing. And I was kind of looking at that like this, like kind of sitting in the thinker's pose. And she goes, turns around. She was wearing really, really a lot of makeup. Like, I don't like girls with makeup. Like, sorry, if you wear makeup, it's not like it gives me a false perception of who you really are. It's like wearing a freaking mask. I'm like, whoa, oh, that's what you look like. Oh, I was completely
Not gonna be that bad.
Yeah. And I'm like, I always told all my ex-girlfriends, don't wear makeup around me. Just don't do it, you know? And when I was looking in this mirror, this girl turned around, lipstick, eyeliner, everything, really high up tank top, was just doing yoga stretches the whole time. And she just looked at me, can you not stare at me? And I'm like, honey, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, looking at how tight this shirt is, what muscles it's showing, where the fat is on my body. And I'm just like going into all this. And she just looked at me like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like nobody's here looking at you. And I'm like, that's the point. You're at the gym. You're there to work out. You're there to make yourself better, not sit there and fantasize on other women. Yeah, I know when someone's attractive when they walk by, like, oh, nice. But I see hard work, you know. I always chalk up to like a Jason Momoa status. And I have a buddy of mine that gives me shit about it. Goes, well, are you gay for Jason Momoa? I'm like, no, but I know how hard it takes to get a body like that. And I know what it's like to keep that. For me, keeping a six-pack year-round for the past 7 years has been a daily hustle. I was at the gym 2:00 this morning, burning 1,600 calories on the treadmill because I ate 2 French fries last night. And that's like, whoa, that's excessive. And I'm like, yeah, because I have things that I want to stay in shape because I constantly worry about what others thought of me since high school when I was bullied. And that's pulling stuff out of me. And that's not me crying my heart out. That's me showing that if you have perseverance, if you have power, you can help anybody. You can do anything of this sort. I have people come to me, buddies that made fun of me back in the day. I used to get picked on and hate these guys coming to me like all drunk and all like beer gut saying, how do I change my life? How to make my life better? I was like, make the change yourself, man. I can give you the tools to what you need and what you want to do, but it's not going to work for you the same it worked for me. I'm willing to help out anybody. We all truly matter in this world.
Yeah, I think that. Oh, hello. Hey.
Hey.
I don't know. I put the do not disturb, and this call still came in. But I think that goes with self-love. So, do you feel like you love yourself?
I I feel like I do most of the time to please other people, but from
No,
having a
you feel like you love yourself, Robbie. Nobody else, just Robbie.
I feel like I'm getting there. I feel like the more I podcast, the more I talk to people, and I find this interest inside of me where I thought my interest was the gym, and it seems like it's fading off from it in a way, where it's became like just something I have to do. And talking to like someone like you, like I've been up since 1:00 in the morning and I've podcast with a couple people, and I'm like, people are like, how do you do like 15 a day? I'm like, because I love the conversations. Someone
Good.
like you're telling me your story, your history. We're having a conversation, you
Okay.
know, it sparks me up when I
Mm-hmm.
hear someone get passionate about something, and especially something like sex that people don't even fucking choose to talk about because it's so, oh God, did he just say that in my virgin ears? I'm like, yeah, you do it. Like you don't not do it. You know, you're not the monk that doesn't touch himself for 90 years and he lives a holy life. That doesn't happen. Okay.
Yeah.
You have your moments, and they always say that was just a moment of weakness. No, those are your strongest moments. Those are the times you need to get a clear level of thinking too. You know what I mean? I think more people need to be advocates for a sexual lifestyle, only on the concept of that doesn't mean you need to go out hitting on every single woman or every single guy out there. That just means you need to understand that this is something humans have in DNA. We have something, connectivity with others. And this is a way we're looking for connection sometimes in a world that seems like it's just lost.
Exactly. So you feel that throughout your podcasting, the podcasting is helping you find yourself, learn about yourself, and love yourself?
Yeah, it's helping me kind of unravel my kind of passion deep down inside. We're all looking for something to find out what we truly mean to do in this world, whether it's an interest. And sometimes it's the thing that we look down on the most in the beginning. And me being an introvert, finding that, hey, turns out I actually like talking to people. I hate the people in the world today that choose to play the mask and not show the true selves. Like, my name is John, but you're gonna call me Johann McMormon. I'm like, excuse me? He's like, this is the character I go by, okay? This is the character I go by. I'm like, I don't want to know the character. I want to know the person. I want to know that person I'm gonna have a conversation with. Because right now you're talking to Robbie, okay?
Right.
This is who I am.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I think that I feel the same way about podcasting. That it has, I haven't done many of them like yourself, but I feel that as I've been doing them, I've been learning more about myself and learning that I've always liked to talk anyway, and I'm not an introvert at all. And but I think it's a great way to communicate and to connect, like you said before. It is definitely a great thing. So I'm really glad that you have chosen to do this, and it has helped you with the stuff that you might have been working that you're working on. Because that was a great response when you said that you're working on it as far as loving yourself.
I always chalk it up to Leonardo da Vinci's saying, art is never finished, just left undone, because he believed everything. He was known as the guy that never finished anything because he believed you can constantly add adjustments to things, And sadly, we're a work in progress all the way into our final days. Anybody that believes that they're perfect 100%, they're not even close. You have to realize there's something always out there you could be doing. There's something out there that you could be working on in your own life to make improvements. And I mean, have you podcasted with any kids my age, or you
Mm,
just strictly do kind of a self thing?
nope, I have not podcast with people your age just yet, but in their 20s.
You should.
Uh,
There's a big problem going on with kids my age, not feeling like, that with the either depression or just with relationship stress. Like, when you're 13 years old, you're 14 years old, and you finally get a girlfriend, you finally get a boyfriend, whatever you want to say, and you lose that, you're like, the world's nothing. I'm like, but it happens. You're not going to meet a high statistical probability you're not going to meet a person that is meant for you in the beginning of your life. It's going to happen later down the road. Just like finding yourself usually happens later down the road. You have to take a journey, and that's
right.
what you get when you walk with someone. Now, are you more about kind of experiences, as in like sexual experiences, or are you more about finding someone to connect with forever?
No, sexual experiences.
Now,
Uh,
what types of things have you found through your own experience that kind of bring that to point?
that I don't know shit.
With the deep dark secrets left in the world of the internet.
Yes, like so I was married for a long time, about 21 years. And so obviously not that we didn't have sex, we had plenty of sex. However, I think that we should have explored more. We should have, I shouldn't have been afraid to talk to him. Obviously, it wasn't the right person for me anyway. So possibly that's why those things didn't happen. But I feel that people, if you become comfortable about talking about sex, then your relationships become easier because that's one department that you don't have a problem with, discussing, stuff. So you won't, it kind of removes the inhibitions. So the sexual experiences, if you get to talking on camera or even on podcasts, because I've done some that are anonymous, excuse me, and but it allows, even when they're anonymous, it allows the person to just talk,
Be truly
right?
free. Yeah.
To be truly free. So even though it started off anonymous, maybe the next time they talk to someone else, they won't feel so scared because they already let it out. right?
Yeah.
So moving forward, that might have helped them, and it has helped me with my sexual experiences and the things that I wanted to try and the things that I haven't tried, and and all the things that I'm finding out that I didn't even know about. It's kind of weird that I'm like, I'm in my 40s and I'm like, I didn't know that you could do that or people did that.
I've talked to people that, used to act, not get made fun of in school and all these types of things. And I'm like, how did you truly just not care what people thought of you? Like, you just didn't give a shit about anything. He goes, you got to do that. He goes, that's what you need in life. And I'm like, why is it now that you have to be an adult to figure that out? And it seems like even then, it's not until your older age when you're like, why do I care what people think? Why do I care what I look like when I go to the store at some person that walks by 5 minutes, and next, like, I'll go to the damn store in sweatpants. Okay.
Right.
I do this now because I don't need to prove anything. Okay. I don't need to buy the newest shirt, need to buy the newest clothes. I don't need to, because I know who I am. I know damn right I'm going to hold that door open for someone if they need me to hold the door open for. They're just the average day person. I let my personality show on my sleeve. I show them with the actions that I do, not with how I dress. And I thought, in the beginning, modeling off looks, that's what people wanted. And I'm like, it's not what matters really anymore. Now it more matters to me. I like to see my body in that way because I knew what it was like before. But, we all have this thing when it comes to relationships, when it comes to even saying the word sex. It's like you hear something like someone just put like, eyes just immediately pop onto your head. Like, whoa, someone's watching me when I said that. Like, you're afraid, it's stigmatized. I'm like, we make it stigmatized. Stop doing it. You know what I mean? It's not like that doesn't mean you have to own a prostitution house or a brothel or something, whatever you want to talk about. It just means like be open about it. Have a conversation. I've heard so many friends go, had to break up with her, bro. I'm like, why'd you break up with her? Man, she just didn't understand the things I like. I'm like, did you tell her about it? No. All right, well, you dumbass. Like, you didn't bring it up to her. How is she going to know?
Oh,
This wasn't for me. I'm like, all right, that makes complete sense. It's like,
well,
be
it
open
also
about
creates a comfortable situation. Sometimes it's like that. You don't feel like opening up to that person. You don't feel like you don't feel it. The vibe, the energy is just not there. So that person might have just not been for them. So
it.
they
Yeah,
did the.
I always chalk it up because all my past relationships have been with mixed girls and black chicks and stuff. And I've dated white chicks, obviously. I've dated every color. Color does not matter to me. And my family kind of makes fun of me for it. They go, man, you're gonna have a different colored baby one day. And I'm like, connectivity is not on the limit of skin. If I find someone attractive, they find me attractive. Damn right, I'm going for it. But they're like, Ben, why do you always choose that? I'm like, I don't choose who's attracted to me. I don't choose who I'm attracted to. You know,
Right.
Sadly, I attract a lot of black girls for some reason. I don't know why. My guy I work with, I call him my black dad, because he gives me the best advice. Actually, main inspiration also for this podcast, dude. I mean, times I've been in struggle. He has a kid my age, so he's able to kind of bring me in a little bit. But he goes, dude, man, he goes, because they can mess you up. I'm like, what do you mean they mess you up? Because they see an innocent little person. I'm like, it's the face I have. It's the only reason why I keep a little bit of chin hair, just so you understand I'm not an idiot. I'm not 12 years old when I come to the store and buy something. What'd you say?
That's what that does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just helps me not look as much of a child as I do. And I'm waiting, trying to grow that goatee out. But I always tell them, I'm like, it's all about connection with people.
Mm.
You're connected, and color, features, things don't matter sometimes. I've met friends that have the biggest, biggest flaws when it comes to staring at someone's personality and them not talking to someone because they have a mole, because they have a freckle, because they have something. And then they end up dating, or they end up getting married, like one of my buddies, to someone
Yeah.
that had the biggest blemish on the side of her face. And I wouldn't even call it a blemish. She got into an accident and got something like a scar down the side of her face, and he loves that about her. And he
Right.
saw that as a thing he needed to work on in himself to kind of better. And I'm like, dude, like, you see people like when that really brings into the aspect of looks don't matter. It matters about the person and the connectivity you have, someone that spark.
Right. 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 Well, obviously, I mean, looks are not the end all.
Yeah.
but it is the first thing that attracts you to someone. And then you find out whether or not, after a few conversations, whether or not you really want to, continue with this person. But I think that, if we have more conversations, like with the situation with your friend, leaving that girl, like, I think for me, I think he made the right choice because he didn't feel comfortable enough to talk to her about anything, it seems like, right? And the conversations are so important, and people don't have conversations much. Like, we're either, and I'm guilty too, and things that I, have to work on as well. Um, as far as like being on your phone constantly, and if you're with someone, you're not engaging with them. So you should constantly make a conscious effort to have that engagement. Like the other day when you and I first spoke, we had no light, no power here for 24 hours because of the hurricane. And my kids and I, we literally just sat on the floor. We attempted to create a puzzle. We played games. And my kids were like, Mom, we really like this. My son didn't play Fortnite for 24 hours.
Man, that's got to be a record.
It had to be, right? And, my daughter didn't watch anything on Netflix. Like, we literally just sat in the living room and we talked the whole day. We went outside, and they really enjoyed that. And that's something that I enjoyed growing up. I remember my dad taking me to the park all the time, and I enjoyed kind of, talking to him and talking to everyone there. Not stuff that happens very often now. It should
Yeah,
happen.
family dinners, I mean, they used to happen 7 days a week. Now they think at the minimum now is, or no, the max now is like 3 days a week, and that's if lucky. I used to be connected with my family. Both my parents worked two jobs. They're struggling, and then they separated, and then it was hard to kind of still work two jobs, afford a house, and also be an only parent, and raise two kids. Like next thing you know, food was just in the fridge or something, and it's like nowadays, like they're older now, I'm older, I'm doing my own thing, and they're trying to connect with me through that way. I'm like, but we lost it somewhere down the road. And it's something I want people to realize. Like sometimes it's nice to be like, hey, let's turn off the TV, not have it on in the background, no background noise. Let's sit down and have a meal. It doesn't need to be Thanksgiving, it doesn't need to be Christmas, it doesn't need to be anything to do these types of things. We could sit
Right,
down and force conversation for 30 minutes at least.
right, right. That's one thing that from yesteryear that I possibly, like, the only thing that I would like to bring back is the one income household where at least one parent can be home and, kind of help get everything ready so that the family can have a sit down dinner where you can still connect. That is very important.
My grandparents used to do like monthly dinners and like weekly dinners with everyone from our family. They would just invite, my grandma would cook. And I used to
Yeah.
get so upset at some people because like it'd be like Thanksgiving and they would just sit down in front of the TV. I'm like, she made a damn meal. Sit over here and eat it. Eat. It's clean plate club. She taught us this. Nobody got up. I was the one sitting at the table at 3 o'clock in the morning because I chose to drink 2 things of chocolate milk rather than eat my peas and carrots. I swear to you, my grandfather was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Dude, I'm going to work right now. We ate dinner last night at 8 o'clock, and you're still here." I'm like, "Yeah." And he
Oh my.
goes, "Just go to bed. Just go to bed. I'll save it for you. You can have a breakfast, whatever you want to call it." I'm like, "By that time, it's gonna be dinner again because I'm gonna sleep all day." And it was those moments like, and I remember my heart shattered when I went over on Thanksgiving, and it's been almost a year now, and my grandma was sitting on her tablet. She just made food, left it out, and like, if anybody wants it, just grab a plate, and just sat down on the couch. I was like, whoa. And I sat down with my plate. I'm like looking around. Nobody's at the table. It's just me and my grandfather. Everyone else is kind of, sitting by the game, watching the game. I'm like, oh no. Oh no, 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 no. I grabbed the tablet out of my grandmom's hands. Yeah, I went ballsy. I grabbed it out of her hands. And I turned off the TV and I stand in front of the TV. I said, table, everybody. You know what to do. We did this in the beginning. Let's do it again. This is not what this is about. It's not about football today, okay? The game's on. That's wonderful. We're going to sit down and eat for 5 minutes, okay? You can at least eat your plate. All right. Everybody got up, sat down. It was about 20 people in that household. So it took a little bit. We all sat down. Next thing you know, I found people sitting there long after they finished their meal, just having conversation again. And my grandmom just looked at me like, thank you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you lost it too. We all lost it. We all don't know a minute of what's going on in each other's lives anymore. I couldn't tell you a single thing my parents are doing. I couldn't tell you a single thing my brother's doing because I'm 21 years old and I need to experience my own life right now. I need to do my own shit. But we can sit down and talk. This is going to make us bitch less about our problems to random strangers. It's going to have more meaning when we say something and actually find out, like, do you need help with anything? Be like, yeah, it would help if you did dishes or something. Okay, well, I'll work on that if you can work on this. It's about connecting again, but we choose to be silent. And if anything, we're going to bitch about our problems on Twitter or Facebook. So next thing you know, our family sees the problem like, oh, I don't flush the toilet enough. Okay.
And
Okay.
put the seat down.
Yeah, put the seat down. I actually learned to make sure to
I,
pull.
I wanted to ask you, like, the year before, this is your grandmother. The year before did the whole thing where everybody had to sit down, right?
Yeah, well, she taught us that growing up, but it was a thing. Like when you got a plate, you wouldn't sit and eat in the family room. You would sit down with everybody. You could have the TV on in the background, but nobody was ever paying attention to it.
So that was her first year where she was on the tablet.
She gave up. She
Yeah.
gave up.
Have you had a conversation with her about that?
What about her giving up and just sticking to the tablet?
Yeah. What happened?
I told her, I was like, what happened? She just said it's the connectivity anymore. Only body ever calls when they need her. Nobody ever calls her just to call her. Nobody ever talks to her about her day anymore. Now she does the same thing with me. Like we haven't talked in a while now. And we used to call on the weekends and stuff, see how stuff was going, but I'm working all the time. People get too busy with their own shit. They can't take the time for others anymore. I'm fault doing it myself. And you see that disconnectivity that happens with families nowadays. And now it's hitting older generations. Nobody wants to go see their grandparents anymore because it's the grandparents. Like, well, man, I definitely even talking about this while I'm saying it. Like, I need to take more time to go do it. There's a bunch of stuff I should be doing that I'm not doing. But, you know, she lives her own life. She works. She does all these things, but she's always been there for me. She knows she can never call me if she needs me. And this is something I want to tell you too, because you're a mother. You need to keep those family values and those things in there. You need to make sure that your kids know, like your mom. We might argue, we might bicker, but I want to make sure that you can always come to me when you need me. You know what I mean? You need to keep that relationship there, even if they choose to leave the nest or whatever they have to do. They have to go experience the world on their own. And even coming from that, being a kid and not really talking to his mom himself, like we never had a connection, we never had things, and it's like you have to understand that there's a relationship that can be built at any time, but you both have to take the effort to do something of this sort. You know what I mean? You can't just choose to let it blow under the carpet because it'll never get finished.
No, not at all. It never resurface.
Yeah.
As far as connection, you'll completely lose it. Yeah, you're right about that. I think that as far as like in my family, with my children, I know we do a pretty good job of staying connected. Still, my oldest is he'll be 21, um, and my daughter just went off to college. So FaceTime is something that helps a lot. Um, Even with my nieces and some of my family back in New York, FaceTime and texting has definitely helped. Us stay together. I don't really like texting at all because I find that
It's
convers
it's a lazy conversation.
right. I find that talking to you, I want to see your expression. I want to hear your voice. Voices to me are so important. So every so often, I'll tell my nieces like, hey, we got to talk, like, because I can't connect via text. I just can't keep connected. And that works out. My kids constantly talk to my mom. My kids, and they FaceTime their cousins, and so everyone tries to stay connected. And I'm so grateful for social media because we still kind of stay connected through that. So that definitely helps. But you're right. If you stop practicing it, you lose it. It's not a bike.
Yeah.
Riding a
It's
bike.
it's 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 definitely something that it needs to be incorporated in everyone's daily life. My little cousin's growing up with this technology age where I didn't have a phone like that. You had the flip phone, so when you were texting a paragraph to someone, that was some serious shit.
Right.
Nowadays, I get 8 paragraphs before I can send a response. I'm like, like what do I do? And him being on his phone half the time, like you're missing moments, bro. And he's like, yeah, who cares? And he's just on his phone again. I'm like, oh man. You're going to miss these in the days. You're going to get nostalgia off your phone and no more nostalgia with your family. And
Right.
I want to give you here a minute at the end of the podcast to kind of shout out your stuff, promote your stuff, because it's been an awesome conversation with you, Cindy. I really enjoyed talking to you.
So did I. I enjoyed it as well. Your podcast is, I really like it. I like your whole thing. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Thank you so much.
So what I want to say is check out his podcast, which is, and check out mine, CougarsnClitties, okay, with the crooked titties. So
Oh, that's a great slogan.
yeah, you can definitely find me on IG, on Facebook, and on Twitter.
Right on. Well, thank you so much, Cindy, for being on, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.